intellectualradio.com, its subsidiaries, or sponsors. Encouraging, educating, and empowering you into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady ReShell.
Hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. It is Testimonial Monday, and our topic for today is a voice for the voiceless. Happy New Year's to you. I'm so excited for this year for Warriors Talk. We are live on Intellectual Radio. We just heard from the Drive at 5 with Roman. Keep it locked right here on Intellectual Radio and allow us to feed your brain. On the last episode of Warriors Talk, I discussed when a loved one is depressed. Go over to Intellectual Radio on YouTube and stay connected for any episodes you may have missed. The quote of the day is, "It only takes one voice at the right pitch to start an avalanche." Here are your trending topics for today. More than 7,000 nurses from New York City hospitals are now on strike after contract negotiations fell apart overnight. Talks continued Sunday as two more hospitals, Mount Sinai West and Mount Sinai Morningside, tentatively agreed to deals. So far, agreements have been reached with a majority of them under strike warnings. However, Mount Sinai Hospital is representing approximately 3,625 nurses, and Montefiore Bronx is representing approximately 3,500, and they have yet to reach a deal. Hospital negotiators are saying that the same deal, which includes a 19.1% pay increase, was offered to nurses at the main campus. The Nurses Association is saying that it is not just about pay, it's about staffing and having enough nurses to protect the patients. Many have said that they wish that the deal had been reached within the 10-day notice that was given, but they plan to stick to their demands until they are met. Doctors and traveling nurses are now caring for patients that are still inside. Those are your trending topics for today. I am so grateful for my sponsor. I have Emanuel Church of God in Christ with Pastor Michael Richardson, who has a special message for us.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at Emanuel C.O.G.I.C at 10:15 Central Standard Time. And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at Emanuel C.O.G.I.C-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson, and we are from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
My special guest has challenged her inner strength to fight cancer, and this action became a stepping stone towards her mission to help cancer patients while educating, advocating, researching, and being a voice for the voiceless. She is the founder and director of Trials of Color and Saving Pennies for a Cure 501c3 nonprofit organization that focuses on improving the lives of breast and colon cancer patients. The organization provides educative measures and prevention of cancer and giving back to the disadvantaged with a focus on diversity, clinical trials, and boots on the ground for females and males in Virginia. Welcome to Warriors Talk, Sharon Rivera-Sanchez. Hey, Sharon.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here as well.
Yes, I'm so excited. I know that you are a busy woman, especially when it comes to advocating and just being at the forefront of anything that has to do with cancer. So I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come on and educate us and drop some of your gems and your wisdom.
Okay. All right. Not a problem. And like I said, it's a pleasure being here. It's always a pleasure to take time out to be on a platform where you can give back and talk about awareness and talk about cancer. It's a subject that people really don't like to talk about, but we must talk about it because we need to know what to do in the event we are diagnosed with such life-threatening disease.
That's so true. And if you are tuned in on any form of social media, please like the show, share the show, invite someone else in on this conversation that need this valuable information. We're talking about a voice for the voiceless. And I just want to dive right into the conversation, Sharon, and talk about what was the first introduction that you experienced the word cancer.
The first introduction was just a routine mammogram. I was real diligent about going every year, so I didn't miss anything. And it wasn't the first time I had received a call to come back, but I hadn't even made it home, and they called my house and wanted me to come back. And it was just like you get this sinking feeling, and as you go around talking to survivors, they'll tell you the same thing. They just get a really uneasy feeling. So I ignored the call until I actually got home, and I still did not call the imaging center back. I actually called my physician, and she said, come in, let me take a look. And you could feel the knot at that point. It's like, oh yeah, it's right here. Tell them to do a 3D. And I said, well, what is a 3D? I had never heard that terminology. And she was saying how the 3D with the images can see layers by layers. And so then I called and scheduled and went back, and things start moving really, really fast. It went from more imaging to an ultrasound in that same day of biopsy. And I was told to come back the very next day, and I was told to bring somebody with me when I came back.
So they were moving really fast with you, which is, I think in a way it should be that way. But then again, do you feel like you could have had some time to let it sink in so you could decide, okay, what is it that I want to do?
No, because I wasn't diagnosed then. So yeah, instead of going home for a week, cancer can grow real fast. It depends on what grade. And actually I had grade 3, and grade 3 is the highest grade. It can grow very fast. So no, I personally like to see everybody done just like that. You see something, you call them back, you move real fast. Sometimes different centers take a week or 2 weeks before you get a result from your biopsy. I received my result the very next day in what looked like a birthing room. The room was different. It was very dim. So this sinking feeling that you got, it just keeps sinking lower and lower, way before they ever take the bandage off and say, yes, it is cancerous. That's when I first heard the terminology. And I think from then on, everything just, it goes numb. You just like, that same day I was asked, could I stay? Because they had scheduled an MRI. And I had a girlfriend with me, and she said, sure, we can stay. And it's the facility that I got treated is almost connected to a mall. The mall is right next door. So we went to the mall, and she was asking me, what are we doing? Because we was just walking around in a circle. I wasn't buying anything. I wasn't saying anything. I think it was just like total shock. You have to digest this. I tell people it's just like grieving. Allow yourself to grieve. It's 5 stages of grieving. So you actually have to allow yourself to grieve. And by the time I went back and went in the MRI machine, which a breast MRI is different than different types of MRI, because you land flat, so your breasts are in this cup. So I kind of lost it from that point. With an MRI, you have to be very still. And I could not be still at that point. So they stopped and went and got my girlfriend and then started back up, and we continue on. So it was very traumatic, to say the least, because again, you're moving fast because you're trying to see, it is cancer. Is it in the other breast? Is it just in one spot where, you really want to see very deep? So I'm very grateful for that part. Very grateful.
I feel like they were moving really fast with you, and you're right. Cancer does, depending on what type of cancer it is, it could be traveling really fast. So their job is to pinpoint what type of cancer it is, like you said, what grade, what stage, and then they know, okay, we need to hop on this right away. And some people get lost in the shuffle and they may not come back. They may avoid those calls because they're afraid of what they're going to hear.
Right. Yeah. And
So
that happens.
The fact that you called your doctor, I felt like that was kind of comforting to you, that the doctor was like, okay, yeah, pushed you to, yeah, go ahead, and then told you what to ask for. This is what you need to ask them for, because who knows if they would have offered it when you got there.
Right. Right. Well, actually, they end up not doing the 3D. And the reason is, keep in mind, I'm telling you this sinking feeling. They said, oh, we can feel well. So they saw, we could see, we could feel. Yeah. So that, again, that's that sinking feeling where we need to do a 3D because it's real obvious here. This is a lump. We see it, so yeah.
So at that point, you have this sinking feeling. And then the good thing is that you had somebody with you. They had enough sense to say,
bring somebody.
Don't come here by yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bring somebody with you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they call you on the phone and they'll tell you that you have cancer, and they don't know what stage you are in at home by yourself. Yeah. What, did they offer any type of, I don't want to say anything to like counsel you through what was happening at that time?
Not at that time, not right then and there, not at that time. They explained that, you have to meet with all these different doctors that you never heard of. You heard of a surgeon, but you haven't surgeon oncology, radiology oncology. This is part of your team. So you got this team of people. So the team have to actually meet. While the team is meeting, you going through testing to make sure that you can withstand chemo, or you qualify for what's the standard treatment of care is. So not right then at that time. I want to say about 3 weeks later, when you really see, I call them the real doctors. When you see people on your team, they kind of know, like it's a hard blow. I don't know anybody who tell you got cancer, you can just go home and go sleep. And you can sleep through that. So at that point, they did offer some. I was having problems sleeping. So again, it's just like grieving. It's 5 stages. You go through denial, you go through all your stages. But once I accepted the fact, that's when I was ready to fight. So I would tell people, and I do tell people, allow yourself to grieve. And everybody grieves different, but you have to kind of move along the grieving stage because you have to get your body ready to fight this. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with the acceptance stage. I always say after you accept it, you have to process it, because before you can open up your mouth and say anything to anybody else, you got to know yourself, okay, what did I just hear? And then you have to be able to repeat that to somebody else,
right,
without, always getting sick to your stomach every time you got to repeat this to somebody. And sometimes people will say, don't claim it, don't say it. Don't claim it. And I'm just like, well, you're not saying it and not claiming it doesn't make it go away. That cancer is still growing and dividing in your body.
Right.
Whether you claim it or not.
Right.
Time is being wasted.
Right. And you are right. A lot of people, what I first said when they called my house and I got a call saying, hey, did you leave something at the imaging center? They want you to come back. And I'm like, no, I didn't leave anything. I have everything here with me. I'm not calling them. That was my first reaction. I'm not calling them. And that's a lot of people's reaction. They are not calling them. And for us to tell a patient over the phone, I could sit right here and tell you, if any doctor called me and tell me that over the phone, they would not be part of my team. Absolutely not. Because it's just like you said, you don't know what stage you are at. You don't know who you could be cooking. You could be holding a newborn baby. That is not something, a life-threatening disease that you call someone over the phone and tell them. And I don't care what medical school you went to.
You would think they do it a lot, which is so sad that they do this a lot. They call people over the phone a lot and tell them. And although they do have what they call a nurse navigator that helps navigate you through everything, and so grateful for the nurse navigator, because you don't have to make any appointments. You don't have to, depending on what type of insurance you have, you don't have to try to get any referrals or anything. They make all of your appointments for you and they take that stress away from you. But I think the doctor's bedside manner, when it comes to breaking that news, they don't really want to do it. Mm-hmm. I know they feel some type of way, but I think at that point when they tell you, it should be some type of, I don't know, it should be some type of maybe counselor or therapist right there when they tell you, so you can have a session like right then and there. And then it just is ongoing from there versus, you maybe having to push for it or offering it somewhere down the line.
Yeah, I think I just think it has to sink in. I think it takes a little bit of time to, you go into shock, you go into denial. What are they talking about? I mean, and cancer is a life-threatening disease. Definitely make no mistake. We do lose people every day, every hour from cancer. But we do have a lot of survivors as well, and a lot of advances in medicine as well. And I'm a big component of clinical trials because I do believe that once you get the standard of care, especially when it comes to African American, we need to be offered a clinical trial. And it's a lot of benefits to clinical trials. We know about the bad thing. We know about Tuskegee. We know about Harry Tubman. We know about all that. And that did happen. When that did happen, they did not have people that looked like me that was sitting at National Cancer Institute, like we were viewing things, and we are a voice for the voices. And I'll check mark, or I'll no, or I'll yes, absolutely count. And we can ask questions until we understand. We don't have to just put a check by and say, yeah, no, we don't understand it. So what are you trying to do? How are you trying to do it? So it's a lot of things that have been put in place since that. And it's a lot of good benefits to a clinical trial. You're monitored so closely. Once I finished treatment, I was told, you're in remission, but it can come back. And I said, how would I know if it comes back? I was told two things. One, it was a crapshoot. That was about one doctor. The other one, I was told, if it's a pain that won't go away. So I decided I'm not going to sit on the couch and because you waiting, the least little, oh, is this it? Do I go? And that's when I heard on the national television show, they was talking about a clinical trial. And I actually qualified and got myself in that clinical trial. It is a lot of barriers to clinical trials because in my first trial, I'm in Richmond, Virginia. It was in California. And I had to go to California. every 90 days. They contract fell through that they was trying to partner with the East Coast, and I ended up dropping out that particular trial and got into a trial at University of Penn, and I was there for 4 years. And I went there. That's 4 hours, but I still went there, and just the monitoring, and you have access to, if it's a medical clinical trial, you may have access to new medication that is not yet being used for a cancer patient, but still may be FDA approved. And in that case, I did have that.
What is something, Sharon, that we could do to kind of eliminate the mistrust or the distrust that come along with clinical trials, because everybody is really not sold on it?
Yeah.
Like you said, we're starting to see more and more people that look like us, but we still need more of us in there so that they can come up with treatments that will benefit us, work for us, and we won't have this 41% death rate when it comes to breast cancer for African American women.
I think the first thing you can do is just what you're doing, have shows like this, because if you recall, I said mine was on a national television show that I heard about, and we need to be a voice in the benefits. Like, what are the benefits? And then we actually need to discuss the Henrietta Lacks, to see, don't shy away from it, discuss it. I was trained as a clinical trial ambassador, and I actually had a conversation. It was only 1 hour, but we had a conversation with the family of Henrietta Lacks, and they actually support clinical trials right now. So, what happened? What's wrong? But I honestly feel that I'm alive today due to God and due to the HELOCs, the Henrietta Lacks sales. So we need to look at the benefits, and we need to continue to have conversation. Just like as people watching now. Yes, I do sit on one of the prevention board as a cancer advocate at National Cancer Institute. And I can tell you, I have your best interests at heart. I'm not up there saying, hey, da, 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 da. I was actually in a clinical trial. I know how it works. I know the barriers. Going to University of Penn from Richmond is 4 hours one way on a good day, if I can bypass DC traffic. So it may be 8 or 10 hours, and you look at the financial barriers. So it's a lot of barriers. But what we don't know is a lot of the smaller nonprofits that actually can help you in some ways get you there. In Richmond, we have Massey Cancer Center. I'm sitting on one of their boards as an advocate, and we're looking at clinical trials. So you have someone that not just saying, hey, I was in a trial, but I'm doing this to try to pass the way. And pick up the phone, call me, email. We can talk all day. We can talk through this. And it does take a lot of talking, because people will say, well, I don't trust my doctor. Find somebody that you can trust. Find someone that you can't trust. I mean, if you ever have taken Tylenol, Benadryl, aspirin, all those drugs went through a trial. Every last one of them. Pedialyte with the baby. Now you can buy Pedialyte over the counter, but at one time you need a prescription for that. That's because it passed that trial. Any drug that you take, whether it's Benadryl, whatever, if you have a adverse reaction, you actually can call the FDA. You can go online, you fill out a form, and that's how they pulling stuff. So even with something as simple as aspirin, drugs normally, and I'm not no nurse, I'm not no doctor, I don't even know if it's an MD in my name, but any drug that you take, it normally passes through your liver or your kidney. That's just how the body is. So regardless of what you take. So, I rather take my chances in being monitored and pave the way so we can get rid of 41% African Americans die at a higher rate. And that's ridiculous. If a new drug come out, is it working for us? We don't know. We don't know if we only have 4 or 5% in clinical trials. So, we trying to bring them closer to home, closer to the neighborhood. So that's what I would say. Just keep being a voice. You just keep being a voice.
Absolutely. Education is so important when it comes to that. I think it'll help ease the mind when it comes to it. And again, when they see people that look like themselves, that have participated and still living, breathing, then, they kind of put their guards down and maybe want to participate. It's about word of mouth as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely say that.
Yes. I want to recognize some of these comments because they are commenting on here. Kenya said, definitely a total shock. Hey, Lisa, thank you for tuning in. My Leah said that this is a great topic, sharing so people can tune in, be informed, and be inspired. Hey, Red, thank you for tuning in. Kenya says, to tell you something like that over the phone is very devastating.
Yeah.
Trust me, they will do it in a heartbeat.
And they would be fired. Let's use the word fired.
Yes. Like Beyonce says, somebody's getting fired. Somebody's getting fired. Lisa says, for me, it did not matter who said it. Once the message was delivered, it was devastating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was devastating. Kenya says, advocating for yourself is very important.
Very.
Red says, I don't think it's a really good way of telling you that you, what he says, just the thought would just bother you once they tell you over the phone. That thought is just going to bother you. And it will.
Yeah.
It will. They don't know. Like you said, they don't know if you're sitting there with somebody. They don't know what type of mental state that you are in. It should never be told to you over the phone.
And I would encourage anyone, life-threatening disease, whether it's cancer, whatever, to get a second and a third opinion. And I did get a second opinion, and I did get a third opinion. And I went to 2 different states to get my second and third opinion. And a lot of people like myself, I thought that my report was going to be fact. So I was going to take a report, and they said, yeah, we agree. Now, when it comes to breast cancer, they actually need that tumor. They need part of that tumor that is overnight on block of ice and sent. And then that pathology will test that tumor. So that's someone else testing that tumor. Another thing I would say is that one of the most important person on your team is the pathologist, but we don't normally get to talk to the pathology. I was able at my second, once I got my second test or whatever, I did talk to the pathology. And things you want to ask is like, what lab ran this test? Mm-hmm. What is the error rate for this lab? So that's why that's real important, because I don't know about you, but I make mistakes every day, every week. So a physician is only human. A lab person is only human. You don't know what news they may have just got, or sit down a slide or mix it up. So you really, really want to make sure, not so much that you going through denial. You just want to make sure I have did everything. I have got the second opinion. I have got the third opinion. Then you want to see, where is my center ranked at? So I went to a center that was considered the top, and they told me they was going to do exactly the same thing, but they broke it down a little bit different. This is how the cells turn, So sometimes it's also how you deliver the message. I hated science. I didn't like nothing about science. So delivering a message to me, I didn't understand anything you was talking about. But when I went to one center, they broke it down very, very well, where then I could relate. Then once I came back, I was ready to fight. But I knew exactly, here's what should happen. So then it's just like someone said here, be your own advocate. Don't just chemo. What type? I don't know. We visit centers all the time, and we do a blanket drive, and it's called Comfort and Chat. And we want to chat with them about, chemo and how they feeling and this blanket. And, you see the bag up there and said, oh, what kind of chemo are you getting? I don't know. Well, you should, because if they make a mistake, so you definitely should. So ask questions. I think people are afraid that they going to offend the doctors or offend the nurse, but ask questions until you understand it. I mean, you can't do nothing until you understand it. So if you have to make a separate appointment, which I did, and my doctor is in my record, he says she's back again today. I spent 1 hour answering many, many questions. So until you understand it, you definitely got to ask the question. You definitely need to know what you take in, what's the doses. So if something happened, so ask questions.
That is so true, because a lot of times it may be to where the type of chemo that they're giving you, it may lead to infertility. And so if you're a person that maybe don't have any kids or maybe want to have some more kids, then that's something that should be asked or should be told to you before you are even given that chemo. That option should be, hey, do you have any kids? Are you planning on starting a family? Well, if we give you this drug, then you can't have any kids. Look it up yourself. Take a picture of the bag that the fluids is coming out of. Go on the internet and look up the side effects and how to pronounce the name. And you should know what's going in your body. You should know.
That's Google University, and we're trying to get rid of Google University. We go to ask your doctor, go to the second opinion and say, what is this? I didn't go to medical school, so explain this. If they don't have time to explain it, you got a life-threatening disease. That is not somebody you want on your team. Trust me. You need someone on your team that has your best interests at heart, that want to make sure you understand it, because then you can be a team player. I always say you the captain of that ship. They are the co-captain, but don't get it twisted. They went to medical school, so they know that part, but you know your body.
Yeah. And it's a partnership. It should be a partnership. You should not be afraid to ask questions. And each appointment, like you said, shouldn't be 15 minutes. Not when you have cancer, because there may be some concerns. You may just need to just to calm your fears.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to ask. Yeah,
right. We tell them to write them down, take people with you, because you can easily forget. So that's what we tell you. I can't think of it. It's a great app, and I may have to send it to you. All About Us, I think it is. And that's a great app that people can use as well. It's a free app, and it'll prompt you things like genetic testing. That's very important. That is crucial before you even do anything, because you don't know what decision to make until you do genetic testing. So it's so many components to cancer. One can easily forget to mention that after you had your surgery. So I always tell people, you are one person. The doctor is one person, but he or she has many patients. So try to be a team player. Do what you can and take it back to them. Say, well, hey, tell me about genetic testing, because shouldn't we be doing this first? So you should know the flow of how all this works, because it's a lot. So you really need to know, genetic testing, if it's breast cancer, am I going to move my breast? What is my survivor rate? What is this? Those are questions that only your team can answer, but you have to trust your team. And if you don't trust your team, get someone else on, get another team, switch around, move around. Yeah.
Yes. I think a lot of times, Sharon, we get answers from our questions answered from other survivors.
Right.
Like some information we find out from other survivors, and we're like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh yeah, did you know you could do this and you could do that? And then you take it back to your doctor, like, hey, what about this and that? Oh yeah, that's covered. It's like, I don't know. I think sometimes they're so busy And if you're not on your homework, doing your homework, then something may get missed. So don't be afraid to bring it to the doctor's attention, because sometimes they're busy. They may have meant to tell you, but they may have just forgotten. So
I think in all good intentions, I don't think they just is holding information. I just think it's just so so much. The surgeon have this part, the radiology have this part, and then your oncology chemo person have this part. So it's so many parts to that team, and one can assume that the other one told you. So you are the captain of this ship. So grieve, but then you really got to get in gear. You got to get in gear because you have to educate yourself extremely fast. And that next appointment, you should have your questions. You should have somebody with you, and you should walk out there at least feeling that your questions was understood, answered where you understood them.
True, exactly. I totally agree. Kenya said no compassion whatsoever. I think she was going back to the phone call. She said, you better believe it. She also says, and that's the problem. They're too busy. They have to take out more time. You have somebody else's life in your hands, and it cannot be a 5-minute conversation.
That's true.
I totally agree.
That's so true. Yeah. Real true.
True. I want to take a quick break. I just want to recognize one of my sponsor, who is Allstate with Paula Kelly, and she's located at 327 East Glenwood Lansing Road in Glenwood, Illinois. She can be reached at 708-758-3300. Make sure you tell her that Warriors Talk sent you. We are live on Intellectual Radio, and I am talking to the founder of Trials of Color, Sharon Rivera-Sanchez, and we are talking about a voice for the voiceless. Sharon, I wanted to get into talking about how important is early screening for men and women when it comes to breast and colon cancer.
We'll start off with, real briefly, early screening is the key. In my opinion, is the key. And I'm going to tell this story. We'll go into, it's for men and women, breast as well, and also with breast self-exam. And a lot of people really don't know how to do that, including myself. I just thought, okay, squeeze, I don't feel anything. You actually could take like shampoo and wet yourself really, really good with that shampoo. Lift that hand up and feel all around, and especially wet a nipple part. You feel very good. Take 2 fingers, and you want to do that kind of regular, because just because you had a mammogram last month, you still need to do it. So it's very, very important, men and women. Colon cancer is very dear to my heart. Colon cancer is the one cancer that normally can be prevented. So that's one thing. Breast is, it is what it is, liver. But colon cancer is the number one. Let's go back. November the 2nd, my brother reached out to me, and he thought he had colon cancer. He had 6 out of the 7 symptoms, or 5, something like that. And I was able to get him in the hospital that next day. He stayed in the hospital. He got out a day and a half. So his total time in the hospital was 37 days, and he passed December the 5th last year. So just a little over a year ago, he passed. He did have colon cancer. He did not get screened at all. So he was diagnosed before he left the hospital at November the 14th, but November the 16th, he was right back there in the hospital. He kept complaining about his back. And I said, what do your back got to do with colon cancer? Well, that's because it had spread, and it had spread everywhere. Honestly, I don't know how he was functioning, because it had broke a bone in his back. So this is not the time to be hero, Iron Man, Iron Woman. it's okay to seek out help. Now, what you have with colon cancer, especially in the Black community, they would tell you real quick, is nothing going up my butt. That's the first thing. That is the first thing they're going to tell you. Number one, you're asleep. So you're not going to feel it. And this is a misconception too. A lot of people is getting colonic mixed up with colon, with a colon screen. It's like, no, you're asleep. And I hear that all the time out in the field, because I'm out there, boots on the ground, and I have no problem, none, having a conversation. Did you get your butt checked? It's like, what? Did you get your butt checked? It's like, lady, what you talking? You know, and then you tell a story, and then they said, oh my God, I didn't know. So you hear this all the time. So important. I cannot stress enough that colon cancer is number 2 in killing our Black and brown community. But it's the number 1 that can be prevented. Pollen, they move it, and you go about your life. They move it, you going to work the next day or whatever. When you're anesthesia, you don't even feel anything. So I clearly would say that colon cancer normally don't have symptoms until when it starts showing its ugly head. It could live there for like 10 years or whatever. And I can tell you, he did not know that he had 37 days left. He was very scared. He couldn't understand all the terminology, because again, with cancer, a lot of things go this, that, and that, radiology. They honestly thought they was going to be able to give him radiation, and they couldn't even do that. They would have to do surgery to count him because that bone was broken, and it was just too many problems. So it goes back to, we are the captain. If you feel you don't have to feel anything, just your guidelines, just your history alone. And sometimes we have to get past the gatekeeper. And when I say the gatekeeper, I know my risk. He passed. I'm already up here with triple negative. Now I got a brother in the past. I don't have to wait 10 years. I don't have to wait 5 years. Let me call. But I had to get past the gatekeeper. Gatekeeper said, you're not doing, oh, yes, I am. Here's the guideline. What's your name? You got to get past the gatekeeper. And if it means getting in your car, driving to that doctor's office to get past that gatekeeper, or if it means calling up there, NCI or whoever, to call and say, listen, they telling me no, but I know my risk. It's plenty clinics out here, plenty doctors. Why do you settle? If you're shopping for a dress or a pair of pants, you ain't going to no one store. Don't tell me I'm going over here to the mall to this one store. If you do not see what you like or can't find, you going to, when you Christmas shop, did you shop on? You went to many, many places. So don't settle. Take control of your health. Be the captain. Bypass that gatekeeper. Prevention. So I am speaking. I am a voice for the voiceless, because he no longer have a voice. So that's what I would say on prevention.
Lisa said, that was very good, by the way. Lisa said that she didn't realize the relationship colon cancer had any relationship with back pain until recently. Ironically, she was watching a movie and one of the characters' main symptom was back pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just never know.
Yeah, you just not any pain. Okay, y'all gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna tell you, this is me. I'll nail break. We're gonna run over there to that shop and get it fixed, and we ain't going nowhere with it. So if something doesn't feel right, take control. Get it checked out. Cancer is silent. I mean, it's like I had no symptoms. Let me repeat, 0 symptom of breast cancer. I did have a lump. I didn't even feel it. Everybody else could feel it. So maybe I didn't know what I was feeling for, so everyone else did. So take control, ask questions. We are working on, and let me just mention real briefly some of the things we're working on with the National Coalition of Cancer Survivors. We're working on the Comprehensive Survivorship Act, because normally what happens when you finish treatment, you may have over 100 appointments within a year. All of a sudden now you ring the bell, run like hell, and then that's it. It's, follow up maybe in a year. Not in my case, because I was too scared to get discharged. So I didn't get discharged in a year. So people that get discharged, it can financially ruin you. You have side effects many years later. I'm 7 years out. I have permanent nerve damage in my feet, neuropathy from the chemo. I don't let it stop me, but I do have that. You have some people lose their homes and stuff. Some people get fired. Why they getting chemo and they get fired? So you have two choices. You get fired. You have to go to EEOC. No lawyer take that on a contingent basis. Or you take your money, you get it here, or I'm fighting chemo. So I'm fighting cancer. So most people choose, I got to fight for my life. I don't have time to fight EOC. So this bill would do a lot. This legislation would do a lot. Saying to physician, you no longer can just drop a patient once they finish. And it also have grants built in where, people losing their home and things like that. So we are trying to play our part in that. We have colon cancer awareness coming up in March my brother used to live in Petersburg, Virginia, and we have a community grant from Massey Cancer Center that we are doing some fabulous outreaching out there. And we have that going on as well. So you always be a voice, always help someone else. Never, I got mine, it helps someone else.
All right. I'm going to have you to hold that thought because I know we have a few minutes left.
Okay.
I am going to sign off on Intellectual Radio, and then we can keep the conversation going. Coming up next at 7 p.m. is The People Show with Mark Wallace and Charles Thomas, so stay tuned. Join me next Monday right here on Intellectual Radio at 6 p.m. I will leave you with these words of wisdom. The voice of passion is better than the voice of reason. As always, thank you for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time. Stay right there.
Listening to this week's edition of Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell.
Yeah.
Follow at Warriors Talk, the number 1, on all social media outlets, and Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell on YouTube. Please join us next week every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Thanks, Earl.
Intellectualradio.com.
Yeah, I am. Hello. I'm good. How are you? Thank you. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Where you want me to go? Back there. Okay. Hold on, you guys. Hold on. I'm gonna move to a different studio because I have a show behind me.
Okay. It was real nice. Yeah, I like it. Very nice.
Yeah. And I didn't want to run over their time. So
yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Yeah, thank you. All right, so I hope you guys can hear me and see me. So because people were still making comments, so I wanted to make sure.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure we got all the information in. Red said he really loved the show and that he learned something every single time, and that's so important. It's so important. Sometimes you think that, like a lot of times I think this is small. It's like a small beginning, but if I just touch one person, it's important. So
the one with colon is just like, I had breast, he had colon. It's honestly no comparison, and it's no reason nobody should have to suffer the way that he did, and he honestly suffered. Yeah.
I tell everybody, like, because I think people put these horror stories out there, Sharon, about these different tests, like the mammograms, the colon cancer, and you're going to be sitting on the toilet, it's going to be painful. And like you said, you don't know what's going on because you sleep.
Right.
You are knocked out doing the whole test. The only thing you're awake for is the prep, when they're prepping you and checking you in. And then when you're being wheeled back into that room, they done already gave you that medicine, and next thing you know, you're out.
And see, now they have new stuff out there. What I didn't mention is that no one should wait till, let's say if your thing was Monday, don't wait till Friday and go to get your prescription, because not all insurance company pay for, they got different stuff out there now. They got pills and so they might prescribe something and you go to pick it up and it's like, oh, that's $150. It's like, what are you talking about? That's $150. So people have called me and said, I got to cancel my appointment. Why you have to cancel your appointment? It's like, it's $150. No, tell them to call the doctor back and he'll prescribe something else. So yeah, they do have different stuff, like some, long time ago, you had to drink this gallon thing.
Yeah.
No. It's like they got 2 6-ounces baller where honestly, if you mix it real good with water, you are in the bathroom for 4 hours. But after that, that's it.
Right.
So I take my chances in the bathroom for 4 hours.
Hello. Yeah. It's really not as bad as you think it is. No. But to have that peace of mind, to know, like you said, while you're there, they're going to remove those polyps. If anything is there, they're removing them. And then they'll let you know, oh, come back in a year, come back in 3 years, or come back in 10 years.
Right.
But you being afraid to go in and not getting a test done at all, we have to be able to push each other and say, this test is going to inconvenience you for a couple of hours.
And I tell anybody, if you see, his job saw him losing weight. He lived 40 miles from me. He dropped 40 pounds the first month and 30 pounds the second month. So it was like 70 pounds. If you all of a sudden you start dropping weight and you're not trying to drop weight, I mean, we all want to drop a few pounds, but if you start dropping and you're not trying to drop weight, that's he was working 2 jobs, and one was at the racetrack. He was a photographer. One of his friends, they both got diagnosed the same time. So with blacks, our right side of our colon is different than the left. So he died. His friend started chemo the same day. Yeah. So he's still going through it. He's going through it. Yeah. So he was stage 4 as well. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I would say
you got to get checked. It's just that it's simple.
And like
I give out.
You mentioned something very important about even if you're not at that milestone. Like you said, you already know the history.
Yeah.
So stop thinking that, oh no, that was just Auntie Sue that had it. No, that was just Uncle Bob that had it. No, it's in your family. It's still in your family. So talk about it. Take action on it. Don't just sit there thinking that, oh, it can't happen to me. That's just an isolated case. Because it's not.
Yeah, my sister had 3, Paula. She went after I did, and she had 3. Because I'm like, look at the history now. You got a sister, not just any breast cancer, triple negative breast cancer. Now you got a brother that done died. So it's like, no, you got to get checked. And most people that do it now are saying the prep is not that bad. They are saying the prep is not that bad. Yeah. So
I had to, what did they have me taking? They had me to get the little powder and mix it in. I mixed it with Gatorade and drank the Gatorade. And then I think they had me to take a couple of pills. And that was pretty much it. Like after 3:00, that's when I started the prep. And I was in there at 6 a.m. And
yeah. I like first thing. Now that's one thing. I won't do that 10, 11. I said, no, I like to eat. So I got to do 6 o'clock. I got to eat. So now I can't do no 10 o'clock. I'll be in an egg sandwich by 10 o'clock. So, but yeah, it's like I don't think people, a long time ago, they would say, oh, if you open it up cancer, spray it anyway. Yeah. Spray it anyway. Yeah, it spread anyway. It was around his chest wall. It was like it was all over. It was all over. Um, and I watched him really trying to save his life. And one thing I didn't mention, he was taking, I get it mixed up, I think it was a lead. He was taking it like it was just water, just trying to combat the pain. He said, I don't want to get hooked on nothing. And when I clean out his truck, it's like, oh, well, that mess up your kidney.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's little, you have to trust somebody, or at least go to the doctor and see what they're saying.
right.
Just like, let me go get checked and let me at least see what they're talking about. And then it's up to you to accept that or not accept that,
Yeah. And like you said, take that information and go somewhere else and be like, hey, and see what they come up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just put it on the seat. So, well, I know what he said, but let me go down the street.
Yes.
Let me go down the street and see somebody gonna see me. Let me go. Let me keep on driving. I was driving up 95 when I stopped in one hospital. I had a appointment. She said, "Where you going next?" I said, "Sloan County." She did, but she said, "If anybody tell you don't need chemo, they're lying." She was really honest with me. But the other one, it was the way that they broke it down. So a lot of times, I think doctors need to hear is how you deliver that message.
Yes.
It's like you're saying over the phone. You call me over the phone, you are fired. It's like, no, that's not news that you tell nobody over the phone.
Totally.
No.
I totally agree. It's already devastating enough that you're waiting to hear what these results are. And then for you to call me over the phone and say something as devastating as that, it's just, yeah, I would be like, okay, team is over. There's no team.
Yeah.
No team.
Yeah.
Cancer is a horrific disease. It's something not to be played with. There's so much research that's still going on about how to find cures for the different types of cancer, because it's not just, I know people say, well, they need to find a cure for cancer, but it's not just one disease.
It's not one cancer. Even with breast cancer, it's not just one. It's all different types of breast cancer. Right. Even if it's on your left side, it's near your heart. Yeah. So that's all that got to go in place. Yeah. So it's more than just one type. Yes. But the advance that I see behind the scene, because a lot of people think, okay, doctors 8 to 5. Oh no, I can assure you they're not. I got a meeting tomorrow night. It started at 5. March, I can look at the calendar. So they don't work just 8 to 5. They really don't. They, some Saturdays they work in, they're away from home a lot. But you do have these that don't want to answer questions. Those are the ones that they definitely not on my team. No.
Exactly. Yeah, it's scary. I had a chance to and I can't really reveal it, but I had a chance to sit on a panel as it relates to research. And I got a chance to see all of the research coming down the pipeline that they're trying to find a cure for the different types of cancer, especially triple negative cancer. So I'm just really excited about that, to know that research is happening. It's happening. And it's just a matter of time. But like you said, they need people in those clinical trials. Once they come up with these treatments, they need people to see if this is going to work, what kind of effect it's going to have. They need us. They need us.
And see, I was scared even when I was in it, when they first gave me the medicine, and I'm like, well, give me something if I get sick on the stomach. So she said, no. So I took a little pinch first. So for 2 days, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a little, and I'm like, I guess I can take the whole pill. So it's normal to be scared, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's cancer. You don't want it to come back. You don't want, so it's like, and then at a certain age, you go and complain, they might tell you, oh, it's authorized. Well, how you know? You see, you still got to push. No, with your history, you definitely can't. You can't be careful enough. I'm actually in a flu clinical trial now. And again, I like them. I like being monitored that closely. It still can come back, but it's like, okay, I'm seeing somebody like every 3 months. And I have always had it that way from the minute I got out of treatment.
I think with triple negative, it should be that way because, because they already know how aggressive it is. They already know it's a high recurrence rate. So why would you release me and just let me just be out there like a ticking time bomb? I think the monitoring should be every 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not once a year. I know so many people that done went back once a year, and from the head to the toe, it was all over. And I'm like, did you have any sign? No, from head to toe, completely all over within 1 year. Plus, some even have a history, because if you have your family history, that should even monitor you. I didn't have no one in my family that had it, but it doesn't matter. It's just like you said, it's still triple negative. We know down the line something's going on because you got a brother that died, you got a sister that had 3 pollen, you had triple negative. So yeah, you monitor and watch that, But just like I said, I don't think we can. Sometimes you get sick of the videos, you get sick of, but it's like someone said tonight, I learned something. They can take that back. The name of the thing that I'm doing out in Petersburg is called Teach One, Reach One. So as you teach a person, you reach somebody, you teach them, pass on this information. You may not be 45, but it may be your neighbor, or you may see something, say something like, wow, they're really dropping weight. I think, my brother once he called me, then his job started revealing, like, he was going to he was staying in the bathroom, and it's like, oh wow, they start telling us a lot of things then, but again, it's nothing to be ashamed of. You didn't cause your cancer. It's just a matter of reaching out, just reaching out.
Yes, totally agree. I wanted you to talk about your organizations that you have, the Trial of Color and Saving Pennies for a Cure.
Okay.
And how individuals can help support it.
Okay. So Saving Pennies for a Cure, that's what we started. We started off giving baskets away, personal care items and household items, because cancer is very expensive. The chemo that I was on was $20,000 per treatment. And most people have a copayment. The copayment anywhere from $20 could be $200. And I called the $8,000 shot. It was an $8,000 shot. That was 7 years ago, probably $12,000 now. But it was $8,000 to bring if your account dropped down. Well, no, that one was the last shot. So we start giving out the household items, because a lot of times you can't go back to your regular products. Like Tide will itch my skin to death. So that's how we started off. And we still continue our blankets. We don't do as much baskets, but we still continue our blanket drive. So that falls under Saving Pennies. With the Trials of Color, I got pulled into research and don't know exactly when that happened. So I started with the clinical trials and research, and then we brought the colon cancer under that umbrella. But we hope to merge and bring Saving Pennies is on the Trials of Color site as well. So you can help us we have tons of blankets right now. We always use blankets. You definitely can donate on our website, trialsofcolor.com. Email us. So basically, donate, volunteer. We use virtual volunteers as well. So you do not have to be in Richmond, Virginia to volunteer. Volunteer is always good. So you can volunteer, you can donate, and you can help us spread the word. So that's how you can help us.
What's next for you as far as advocating? What do you have coming up?
Let's see what I have coming up. We're working on a policy in Virginia that is coming up February the 8th, I believe, or we basically going to discuss it then. And we have that coming up. We have the calendar is almost full for March, because March is colon cancer. So I'm the butt lady in Petersburg. Did you get your butt checked? If you don't, you might regret. So we plan, and we also we are working on doing a scholarship in my brother's name, the Clarence Hanner Scholarship, educational scholarship. So we just start putting that out there. We have in the transit, the bus transit, we get ads placed all on the bus. So we doing that. We having a dinner out in Petersburg, talking about colon cancer. In the breast cancer space, we are working on the comprehensive, working with National Coalition of Cancer Survivors, working on that. And then March the 11th, here in Richmond, NCORE have their annual meeting, and we are involved in that. So for February, March is really, really busy. And I'm a featured speaker in New Jersey in March. We're going to talk to a pharmaceutical farmer who's coming out of pharmaceutical school, because a lot of times prevention can start right with them. If someone come to pick up a medicine and you know it's 3 or 4 different medications, especially if it's for colon and they can't afford that, you can get on the phone and call their doctors and say, hey, they got an appointment, but they're not covered by this, or someone back there. So we're trying to train them on that, especially when you're talking about diversity and inclusion, because if you look at our numbers, again, 41%, we're dying at a higher rate. So if we could do a party in the street called Colon Cancer Party, we would do that as well. we would do that as well. And sometimes things just pop up. We'll be doing something and something to come on like, hey, can you jump on this for us? So we try to make ourselves as available as we can. But the main thing, what I personally enjoy is boots on the ground in educating and giving back. I enjoy that more than anything.
Awesome. Give us some final words as it relates to a voice for the voiceless.
As it relates to what?
The voice for the voiceless.
The voice for the voices. I think you heard that all throughout this section tonight. Advocate for yourself. You are the captain. You are the captain. Always remember that. You're the captain. Bypass the gatekeeper. Do whatever you have to do. Drive there to bypass the gatekeeper. Continue to be your voice, so we don't have to step in and be a voice for the voiceless. So be very positive. If you get a diagnosis like this, as I said, let it sink in first. Allow yourself to grieve. And then you get up and you fight. You take notes. You take someone with you. You be positive. And remember, you are the captain.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sharon. I appreciate you. You have dropped some gems, and I know that individuals are not only encouraged, but encouraged to take action. So take this information, you guys, that you have gotten today, replay it, share with somebody that you love and that you want to be around for a long time to enjoy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I hope this is not the last time that we connect. You are full of wisdom, and I just appreciate the experience that you have and that you're so willing and vulnerable just to share with everyone.
All right, no problem. And thanks for having me. Thank you, everybody. And get in a clinical trial.
Yes. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.